Welcome to the Experience of the Soul podcast with Cynthia Alice Anderson, a weekly show helping you grow, prosper, and evolve. Today, episode 351, Sacred Spaces with Dr. Mary Delaney. And now, Experience of the Soul.
Hello and welcome to the Experience of the Soul podcast. My name is Cynthia Alice Anderson. I'm also lovingly known as RCA. I'm here today with my amazing producer, Mr. Sean Kilgore.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Experience of the Soul podcast. As always, I'm very happy to be here with you. It's a beautiful day when we're here together in this virtual studio. I love being here with you. That's a song, right? I should have sung it. I love being here with you. Anyway, so welcome. This
Mary
is episode.
Wait, what?
It's like I didn't know it was a musical. This is episode 351. We're really excited to get back to having guests on the show.
Absolutely.
Our guest today is Dr. Mary Delaney. We're going to tell you all about her in just a moment. But before we get to it, as always, we want to do a location shout out. And today we are shouting out to our listeners in Phoenix, Arizona, right?
Yes, thank you, Phoenix, for listening. I mean, I'm so touched when we hear from listeners and people that I ministered to so many years ago now. I mean, 20 years ago, really. And I want to lift up a couple people who we have shouted out to, but Sherry Sadler, Jane Nord, Leilani Burt, so many folks from Phoenix, and Reverend Leilani is, what a powerhouse. So we're just honored that you guys stay with us and follow us. And we think you're going to be really, really happy to hear from our guest today. But to our Phoenix listeners, thank you from the bottom of our heart. And we thank you for your ongoing financial support as well. It means the world to us.
Absolutely. So with that, friends, we are so excited to get back to having guests on the show. This is our very first guest in over a year. My very first guest as a producer. So I'm like super excited too.
You can do it, Sean. You can do it.
All right. And we are kicking it off with someone who brings decades of experience in healing, intuition, and personal transformation. Our guest today is Dr. Mary Delaney. She is a licensed psychologist who has taught at Arizona State University. She's been published in the Journal of Psychotherapy and has shared her insights on stages across the country. Not only that, she recently created Sacred Spaces, which is a meditation and relaxation experience that is available to all of us on Audible and Spotify. We're going to talk all about that in today's episode. Mary's work blends science and spirit and intuition in a way that's both profound and very accessible. So I know you're going to love this conversation today. Let's get into it, and welcome to the show, Dr. Mary Delaney.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Mary. It is a pleasure and a blessing to have you with us. And, you and I have known each other for many years now. I don't want to tell everybody how many. At least 20, I think, probably.
Yeah. Well, since God was a baby. Yeah.
Yes. Well, and I wanted to tell our listeners first that, how much your work has helped and supported me over the years. And the number of people, I don't know if I could count the number of people that I have sent to you that have been supported by you. And also how this recording that came out, how supportive and instrumental it has been, not only in my journey, but of so many people that I've served. Because this recording that we're going to talk about more today, you had first as a CD, and so many people have CD players anymore. But I'm sure hundreds of people that I know have bought it and have been blessed by it. So I'm excited to get into that and how that's available. I also want to mention to people to be aware that you and I are going to be doing something a little later in the year, to be watching, email for that. And again, to do a little research and see if they might benefit more from looking into your work. So I want people to hear about you, Mary. I know you've had a long, long journey, and you don't just wake up one day and have a doctorate like you do. This has been a long journey for you of spirituality, of education, of tremendous self-work and healing. I know you've done that. So if you will, just help our listeners know, I mean, when did this journey begin for you, this deeper spiritual journey?
I had a mentor named Patty Michaels in the 80s who, when I went to see her, kind of told me who I was. I had no idea. I just thought this was life. And when she explained some of my gifts and some of the things that I can do, it gave me a context and a framework for it. And actually, one of the meditation sacred spaces on here is originally from a church meditation that she did. She took us through that, and I developed it, expanded, and made it a sacred space. But she was the inspiration for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Isn't that special though? And there are so many things I do that, you have so impacted. And I love that lineage of teachers, because the true spiritual students, really are the ones that are, as they go along, they see that teacher, they acknowledge that teacher, and they never let go that truth, but they expand on it on their own journey. And I know you have certainly done that.
Exactly right. Yeah.
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 And go ahead.
Would you like to hear the story of how the CD came to be?
Yes.
Okay. To me, this is a fascinating one because I learned from my mentor that I could read other people in my body. So if your big toe hurt, my big toe would hurt. And if I pay attention to it, I become aware of it. So when I'm sitting with clients, I was having trouble breathing. And at first I thought there was something wrong with me, like what's going on? And then I discovered that, they weren't breathing. And I began to see this over and over again in my practice, that people were shallow breathing or not breathing. And so I began to teach them, and I saw really some amazing changes come about because they were dealing with the underlying problem instead of the symptoms. Maybe the symptom was they didn't communicate well, but the underlying problem was when you are not breathing and you go into an adrenaline rush, memory becomes coarse and imprecise, and you can't think, and you've lost that functioning. So I developed this breathing technique along with a guided muscle by muscle relaxation to help people kind of get back in their bodies, because if you're going to be a light in the world, you have to turn your light on. And holding your breath definitely turns the light off.
Oh, yes, yes. And I remember you saying, because you and I led a women's retreat together, and we were talking about how, that shallow breathing, it's fear breathing. And it's, it's like, and when you do it, it's like you have this cortisol coursing through your body for the next 20 minutes. And it is really a discipline, though, to reteach yourself to breathe. And I think that's what the meditation work and sacred space helps you do. It helps you relearn really how to breathe.
Yeah, gives you a place to focus so that you're not trying to do it by yourself. It's the hardest homework I ever give to somebody is to go home and breathe.
Yes, absolutely. Well, what I've noticed too, when you watch a baby breathe, they breathe effortlessly, like you teach to do on the recording. But most adults do that chest breathing, which is the fear breathing that you're talking about, right?
Right. Yeah. When you're breathing into your chest, you get a half a cup of oxygen. When you're breathing into your belly, you get 6 cups. So imagine how much more alive you're going to feel if you're breathing deeply.
Yes. Well, and I know one of the things I've seen with people, because I've worked with people after learning from you this technique, and I've sent them there, and people will often say, I'm yawning a lot. I said, well, yeah, I bet. It's called oxygen. It's called oxygen. Yeah. Your body is so happy to take it in.
Yes, a desperate cry for oxygen. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. That is cool. Well, one of the things we often say on the show, I think I did a whole show on this a while back, the breath is the way through. That when we're in fear and we're not breathing, you're right. Just think about it. We're in this top part of our body, which is very cerebral, But when we move down in the body, we're just more in the whole body and able to ground in ourselves and our true authentic self.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And what kind of changes would you say you've seen in people, like once they start to do this? What's like a fundamental shift like people can expect? Like if I try this, what might change for me?
So your meditations will improve because you know how to get into your body. You know the difference when you're in it versus when you're not. Maybe you're waiting in line and getting impatient and you focus on your breathing instead and you find you're calmer, which I believe that our aura, our energy expands out to other people. And if we're calmer, that's going to be contagious too, just as anger is or anything else. So it not only changes you, but it changes everything around you.
Yes, because our aura, or we often call it our etheric field. If we're in a line, we're in each other's aura or etheric field. So you're right. As we calm, it's like we're sending that calm forward and back into the sides of us because it expands past the body.
Yeah. Yeah, we're contagious in a way we actually want to be contagious. And
yes. Well, we've been talking about that in our past shows, just as we see the world seemingly blowing up around us, that, you know, we want to be more centered, more grounded, more at peace, so that when we do navigate the world, we're not in reaction mode. And I think that kind of shallow breathing is, like you say on the CD, it's waiting for the other shoe to drop. It's, it's just kind of, if somebody pulls out in front of you in traffic, that's a normal response, but that shouldn't be the way you breathe every moment of the day.
Right. Because if it is, then all of your emotions are going to be amplified too. So instead of going, oh, darn, somebody pulled out in front of me, suddenly you've got a list of 4-letter words that are going off and you're pounding the steering wheel because you're upset. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and
all because of the adrenaline.
All because of the adrenaline. Right. And we talk about that often, that road rage would completely go away if people could find their center. Yeah. It's
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, one of the things, Mary, I noticed, because I had worked a different way with breathing before I met you, and then this practice that's in Sacred Spaces of there are a couple different meditations on there. One where you're like breathing that tension and relax. I can't remember if that has a different name.
Muscle by muscle. Yeah, muscle by muscle relaxation.
Yeah, I just found I was more in touch with my body's needs in general. And that, anybody that knows me knows I'm very high energy, but that high energy, rather than being frenetic, felt less anxious and more grounded in the action, which of course is what we all want. I didn't want my decisive, quick action to be frenetic. I wanted it to be clear and grounded and decisive, and something as simple as tapping into that muscle by muscle thing. It was calming in a way. It was like the difference. The scene I'm getting in my mind is like a lake in the morning with that steam rising off. That condensation kind of in the morning. That's what it feels like on the inside to do this Sacred Spaces work.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like we stop mistaking tension for energy. So we're wound up, we're wired, tired. Yeah. Instead, you've got a natural flow of energy because you're getting enough oxygen into your body to live your day.
Yes. So I think this is important for our listeners to really hear. I think that, more grounded, more in touch with your body. And I know with some of my clients, Mary, and I'm sure you've helped people with this, you helped me with it a time or two, where something's going on with the body. And if you're checked out, you're not going to know until it's too far down the road. Do you know what I'm saying? And getting it, if you've got little stomach pains and you're not paying attention, well, that can become an ulcer, or that could be a sign of something else. So literally you're saving yourself physically and monetarily down the road. It's just like, it's just better to be in touch with the body's needs.
Yeah. I recently saw a client who had a foot injury, and I asked him, I said, on a scale of 0 to 10, what's the pain level? He said, oh, it's a 1. And I'm feeling it in my foot and going, I would not call that a 1. And so instead of arguing with him, I just said, let's take some deep breaths. Let's try a little bit getting in your body. And after we did that, and he checked again, he goes, oh, it's a 4 or a 5.
I believe
and I
that.
said, yeah. And so then we were able to kind of connect with that part of his body. And what his foot wanted was for him to elevate it. So he did while we were sitting and chatting, and he felt much better when he left. But he didn't know because he wasn't in his body, which is a kind of a natural response to pain. We want to move away from it. We think that's a good idea instead of moving towards it and seeing what it needs.
Yes. And this is not on the Sacred Spaces CD, but this is in the work that you do. You also taught me something very, very powerful that I use to this day, which is dialoguing with the body and with the pain itself. And that reminded me of it. You talking with that client.
Yeah, that's what we did.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, we did. Yeah, but you have to be in your body to do that.
Yes, and early on, in needing a facilitator, I know how full your schedule is. Later, you're probably going to say, you really don't need to try to get me too many clients. I'm like over full. but and of course, in the work I do now, I do that with people as well. But I learned it from you, and how that has served me and my many clients has really been hard to name in terms of the deeper impacts, because I think everything that we have going on in the body, pain, dis-ease, as we like to call it, always has some emotional and or spiritual component for the healing to take place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I ask a question? So I'm fascinated by this feeling other people's pain or feeling what they're feeling. So is it like mirror touch? Is that what you have? Is that
Oh, that's a good question. I think that's what I'm hearing it called now. I never thought of it in those terms before, but it's like I just get a reading in my body. You know, this area between our neck below and to our hips is the primary sending and receiving area for feelings and for communications. And so if we feel it somewhere else in the body, that can happen too. But that's like what everybody does. You don't even have to have a fine-tuned ability to do that. Everybody does it. And I think it's one of the reasons why we get in the habit of staying out of our bodies, so we don't know what's going on. Like if I walk into a room and I feel somebody's angry, and I don't like that feeling, if I disappear, then the feeling of anger goes away. But the problem is I'm not paying attention to what's going on, why they're angry, what I could do differently, or maybe I need to exit.
That is fascinating. That I thought of it when you first started talking about it. There's a show on television now called Brilliant Minds, and it's about a neurosurgeon, but one of the doctors on his team has what he calls mirror touch. I won't be able to say the rest of the medical word, but yeah, where that doctor feels every patient's pain and is going through that while he's trying to treat them. So as you were saying that, I thought, wow, that must be something really fascinating and interesting to experience as you're working with people.
Yeah, it's definitely a blessing. It helps. Yeah, you're making me want to get a TV.
It's a great show. That. It really is. It's an excellent show. So, yeah, awesome. Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, great. Yeah, that's great. And I think, Mary, too, it can help our listeners to begin to develop that intuitive nature. I think for so many of us, the world at large lives in the mind, and you are about living from the soul and the spirit. In other words, going beyond only the mind. I mean, what I love about your work is that it is so balanced. I mean, because you are a doctorate level, psychologist, but so deeply spiritual as well. And but I think that's going to help some of our listeners begin to listen a little bit more internally to, to their own intuition.
Yeah. When I teach people how to body scan, the first thing I do is have them breathe and get into their own body so that they can read somebody else. They always practice on my dog first because, she's pretty easy. And then they practice on me, and then they go practice on whomever they wish. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And I firmly believe we all have that intuition. I don't, historically it's called a woman's intuition, but I've had some men in my life that were some of the most intuitive people I've ever met. So I want to say, men, don't worry, you have it as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And would you have any suggestion for somebody who's just learning to listen to their intuition? I mean, are there ways you would have them check it out, or what do you think about that?
I'd say a daily practice, and it could be 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes. It doesn't matter. But if you're willing to tune into yourself for just 2 minutes a day, that primes the pump and says to the universe, I'm listening. And when you're listening, I guarantee you spirit will always show up.
Yes.
Spirit's there anyway, but sometimes we're just not listening. Yeah. Yeah, so start with a breathing practice. Start with a 2-minute meditation. I actually think the easiest place to do that is outdoors, to go stand in nature and breathe in nature, because that's our, it's an easy way to connect.
Yes, we talk about that one a lot on the show, about going outside and sitting at the base of a tree, touching a tree, being in meditation, just at a park on a bench, and just breathing in that air. And I find it so interesting now, we were all at one time people of the land, and we were outside all the time. Well, now there's activities called earthing and forest bathing, and it's really simply being outside in nature, my friends. So,
Yeah. I have a client who tells me whenever she gets stressed, she goes and listens to the birds.
Absolutely.
She said, if you're listening to bird song, you cannot be stressed. And I thought, what a beautiful practice.
That is beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Getting out, looking at the stars, going creek, here in Florida, of course, we have a lot of lakes and ocean, and, but in the desert, so much beauty as well. So wherever you are, just being out will be, a gift, and help you reconnect with yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to talk a little bit more about your sacred spaces, because as I mentioned earlier, I had it as a CD and I still have it. Okay. So I've got the vintage edition, right? So, and I remember when I took some minister friends to do a retreat with you, they're still talking about it. So I think that's so sweet that they were so touched by it. So I want you to tell us a little bit more about what's on it, so our listeners will get an idea, if they haven't listened before, just a little bit more about what to expect, because so I'm on Spotify as a customer, and on Spotify I'm on premium, which means I get this free, but it's on Spotify as an audiobook, because it is largely informational. It's not music, right? So tell us a little bit about what we can expect on the CD.
Oh, okay. So the first, the first chapter, which used to be the first track, is called Body Talk. And that one is all about teaching you the effect of the adrenaline from holding your breath. It'll talk about how you've got 17 seconds to start breathing again. Otherwise, you've got that adrenaline for an hour or more. Talks about which systems in the body that it's going to interrupt. Kind of gives you an understanding of how many things are affected by the shallow breathing. And then there'll be a breathing technique and some instructions on how to practice that. And then a guided by muscle relaxation exercise. So this is a lovely thing to do before you go to sleep at night if you are having trouble sleeping, or the second track, which is Soul Talk, is a guided meditation visualization. And this one is, I think, very powerful because it allows you to not only follow, but then there's a space in the center where you can sit in your sacred space and talk to spirit, listen, and then you gradually move out of it again.
Yes, I love that one. I remember exactly how it starts. This visualization and meditation will take you on a spiritual journey. Please allow about 25 minutes to listen to this recording. And that is a really good one. I've used it many, many times before big speaking events because I love the colors that you pass through too. That's that one, right? The colors that you pass through to get to your sacred space, because it really takes you out of the mundane and right into the higher vibrational spiritual realms. And it guides you there so effortlessly that you don't even realize it. And then you come back out of it and go, oh, I feel so much better.
Yeah. Well, and literally it takes you there. I think this is an okay story to tell.
Absolutely.
I had a little dog named Sugar, who was a 7.5 pound Maltese. He weighed, that 7.5 pounds was like pure spite and spirit and just a little bundle of energy. But he was getting ready to pass. And so while I was practicing reading this out loud, he was sitting on my lap. And as I went through the veil of colors, I felt him struggling and moving into the colors. And I felt his life force leave his body as I went through the colors and through the veil of lights. And he made his transition while I was reading it out loud. It was very powerful and very, oh my God, it was beautiful. Although I have to tell you, the next time I read it out loud, I kind of stared around the room to make sure nobody was going to make their transition.
Nobody passed
Nobody passed. So there's no danger. You won't pass, but it is a very powerful exercise.
Yes, it is. Well, and I know you were very connected with that dog spirit, like you are with all your dogs. You and I are dog people.
Yeah.
And,
very much.
You know, and your dogs are a part of you. You know,
they're my co-therapists. They go to work with me. Yeah.
Oh, yes. Is Angel in the room right now, I bet?
She is. Yes. She's listening.
Of course. Of course. Hi, Angel. Yes. Yes. I'm so glad you mentioned that. But yes, it is very powerful. And I love that your dog felt that level of safety. And I think that level of emotional and spiritual safety right now is so important because people are feeling so unprotected, unhinged, and afraid. And we are just really seeking to give people ways to reconnect with self, reconnect with spirit, and to know, you know, we are powerful spiritual beings. We have ways to move forward in the world, and that we don't want to feel like victims and afraid. And I do think both of these, you know, visualizations, these practices do just that.
Yeah, they empower you. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and I think, Mary, that that you said some important things today. And one of the things I want to lift back up is this ability to connect using the breath, with this ability to tap into our own intuition and listen to our own body more, you know, to know what is ours to do. And then to use both of those things, you know, as forms of healing for our lives.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that you have to know that you're not doing it alone, that you have a support. And lots of support.
Yeah, support from the spiritual realms, you mean?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. And from having something you can move into. I have some people that I know that just play this in the background because they've heard it so many times. It's just a calming influence that centers them just from the listening.
Oh, I agree with that 100%. Yes. It's definitely been that for me, for sure.
Yeah. And I don't think it's an accident that this got rebirthed at this time because, like you said, a lot of people don't have CD players anymore. And so I think the timing is perfect because we all need some extra support right now.
Yes, yes. And I again, love that it's available pretty much anywhere you get these type of recordings, right? It's on YouTube, it's on Audible, anywhere else that you know that we can find it?
Let's see, several platforms. I think if you Google Sacred Spaces, in addition to my name, Mary Delaney, you put those two together, because there are some other titles by Sacred Spaces, but if you do the two together, you should be able to find it.
Yes, I'm glad you mentioned that. And I want you to consider, Mary, because we do also have a network now, my spiritual network. We have members from all over the country. It's called, I think you've been on there though, my Soul Works community. And we do talks every Monday night. So I want you to consider being one of our guests on a Monday night. And
I would love that.
Yeah. The paid portion of that is meets every Monday. It's 8 p.m. Eastern. So Sean, were you going to say a word about that?
Just that I did simply Google Sacred Spaces Mary Delaney, and there are many, many different platforms where you can get it. Barnes and Noble, All Music, which is a website. There are CD copies available on eBay. It looks like, Apple Music. So you can get it everywhere. Yeah.
Mary, you're for sale on eBay. I love it.
My goodness, I've arrived.
Yes, right, exactly. Can I ask also? I also would love to hear just a little bit about Moose, Bear, and Hummingbird. So you also co-authored a beautiful children's book.
I forgot about the book, Sean. Thank you. I love that.
Oh, yeah. That was a lot of fun. That project took 3 years because we wrote it as a group. So each one of us used our spirit protector as the animal in the story. So mine is the hummingbird.
Okay.
And I wrote that part of the book. My friend Sue Tone, who was Moose, wrote that part. And Gabriel D. Luzansky wrote the bear part of it. So, and then we all came together to create the crisis, which was, of course, a fire in the woods, and and how one animal sacrificing his home saved the entire forest and created a friendship with everybody. So
it's beautiful and super relevant right now. I mean, that's really, really nice. Yeah.
Well, Sean, I guess your intuition was working there, huh?
Yeah, when I read that, I was like, I want to hear about that.
Oh, yes. I've got my copy, Sean, so just so you know.
Well, maybe you'll have to read it to me one night. Maybe we'll end a Monday night talk.
Oh, there you go. The illustrations are beautiful.
Oh, they are.
Debbie Parker did a fantastic job on the illustrations. Yeah.
That would be really nice. We should do that one Monday night. Like end the talk with the reading of the
say,
story.
Everybody grab your blankie and your stuffed animal. And
your warm milk.
Chocolate.
Yeah.
Yes. Excellent. Well, and Mary, next time you're on, I'd love to talk more too about the work you do with crystals, some of the other healing work. But I wanted today to focus just on this work because this is out again, like you say, this is the 2.0 version, I guess, and it is needed at such a time. So thank you so much for being here today. And we will leave a couple different ways in the show notes for how people can get it. And I know that people are going to be blessed by the work they do, using sacred spaces. And as you know, Mary, it's been huge in my journey. So I thank you for that.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. You are a treasure. I'm so glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, my friends. Thank you again for joining us today. And as always, we're honored to receive your support and your love. And thank you for sharing the show, with people you love that will benefit as well. Sean, as always, great job as our producer. And we'll look forward to seeing you next week. And blessings on the journey, my friends.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of the Experience of the Soul podcast with Cynthia Alice Anderson, helping you grow, prosper, and evolve. This podcast is made possible because of listeners and viewers just like you. If you would like to support the podcast with your tax-deductible contribution on an ongoing basis or through a one-time gift, head on over to experienceofthesoul.com/support. The Experience of the Soul podcast is copyright 2025, Cynthia Alice Anderson, all rights reserved, and is produced by Sean Kilgore. A production of the Soul Works Group, Incorporated. Hey friends, Sean here, your Experience of the Soul producer. I want to take a moment to tell you about something truly exciting. The Soulworks online community, created by your host, Cynthia Alice Anderson, and available on the Mighty Networks app. If you're looking for a place where you can explore your spiritual path, connect with others, and grow in a meaningful way, then this is for you. Soulworks is so much more than an online community. It's a safe, inclusive space for spiritual exploration, self-discovery, and personal transformation. Inside the community, you'll find everything from uplifting spiritual studies to soul-centered growth practices, meditations, affirmations, and so much more. It's a space where you'll always be supported and never judged. The best part, membership is free. You'll have access to powerful resources, inspiring content, and a supportive group of like-minded people who are all on their own unique spiritual journeys. And if you're ready to dive deeper, there are premium options available to enhance your experience with a live Monday night talk series and extended, deeper meditations. If you're seeking a place to connect, grow, and nurture your soul, we would love to have you join us in the Soulworks community and see where this journey can take you. Visit my.soulworkscommunity.com today.